In a previous video I made this. It didn't work very well unless it was lying on the ground, and anything I attached to it was also lying on the ground, which is not great for a pool vacuum. So today I want to try and fix this with what's in this bag. This had two problems. One was this. You can see it wiggling around, and if I rip it out you can see the problem. So that had far too much clearance around the inside of this socket, so I needed to find something a bit bigger because the glue wasn't holding it properly, especially as the glue shrank slightly. What I did think about was this. It came with a kit, and if we put it into another socket, it slides all the way down and goes to the edge. Now obviously it goes a bit too far in. We need it to go to about halfway. So what we have to do is cut that off. The other fundamental problem with this is, basically, I know electronics. The other problem with this is when you have fast flowing water, it's going to want to keep going in the same direction. So it's going to want to keep going that way. And the only reason it's going to go this way is if this way gets blocked. And I didn't realise that. Basically, I thought if you put a T-junction in, it would do 50% this way, 50% that. I mean, that's a fundamental misunderstanding of water physics. I blame software engineering for that one. So, what I need to do is change it from water going in to water going out to basically putting the valve at this end, so when it's turned off with the hose, then it redirects it this way to the pool. So I need to move this from here to here. Now that should be a very simple thing. I should be able to buy a new part because this comes off, and I should be able to buy a new one of these. I think it's an ERA valve. Unfortunately, I only found one place in the UK that sells them, and they're out of stock for a few months. So all I have left is this bit. Now, this valve and this T-junction cost roughly the same amount, but I'm just wasting more plastic this way, which is unfortunate. So in this bag, I have one of these. Fortunately, I've left enough space just that I can cut this off if I'm very careful and then glue this on. Or I could put a socket on, put more pipe, and then if I make any more mistakes I can fix it. So they're the two things I need to fix. And hopefully when I've done that, it's going to work. The one last thing I wanted to say about this was the glue didn't seem to make much difference to it. It didn't seem to bond very well. If you can see, I mean, it kind of looks exactly like it was when I put it in there, other than the marks where I pulled it out. Which means this is probably going to suffer the same fate. I don't really want to wait around and try and find another one of these. I had a look in the shops. I went through loads of them. They're either all exactly the same as this one, different colour, or they look like they would be the right kind of plastic, but they're far too big. And because I don't have a way of cutting a circular hole around them, it's just not going to work. So I'm just going to make do with this one, and maybe next time I'll find something better. If you find anything better, then let me know in the comments. So we just need to make sure we cut this as straight as possible down the edge of that T-junction. Oh, I'm remembering to twist it slightly because after the last cut I made this blade, I went skew-if, and I've gone slightly skew-if again. Oh well. I can take that off for the moment until I'm ready to glue it. I don't want to glue it with it off because it will never go back on again. With this, I need to cut it down to about half, just so it kind of makes it through a little bit. Obviously, I could cut it off here, but the pipe won't fit in that gap. I have no idea what's on the inside of this. Hopefully it all stays in one piece. Okay, that twists. That could be a problem. But we have cut it perfectly. Yeah. Got a face full of plastic shavings. I think that's the best I can do with short notice on this part, and I'm just going to have to hope. I mean, I can try and pour some glue in the bottom of there to stop it rotating, because I'm kind of worried that normally you've got water forced that way, but now if I'm forcing water that way, it's going to probably try and force its way out of that seal, which is not what I want. We shall see. Because I'm replacing this bit, I need to create the other two bits of pipe as well, which means I'm going to have to scratch this one up as well. At some point I should get a better sanding block, one designed to go in small places rather than a rectangle one. That's nicely scratched. How much did I want? So that much will do. And I need that twice, because we've already got the bit on the valve. Yeah, I seem to have gone skew-if. In case you don't know, or I didn't watch the other one, this is all 32mm pipe, which is metric. And I like metric because if I buy a 32mm one size, it's going to be 32mm wherever I go. So the actual pipe itself is going to be 32mm on the outside, and the socket is going to be 32mm on the inside. Okay. The less bits of plastic I leave in these pipes, the less I'm going to be fishing out my pool filter. It's always best to get rid of as much as possible. So hopefully this is going to go to plan. So what am I doing? I am putting this one here. Wow, these pipes are a lot stiffer. This T-junction is a lot stiffer than the previous one, which is a good thing. It's also a bad thing that I've got to be careful when I push it in. I'm actually pushing it in. I mean, you can sort of see it looks like it's smoothing off the scratches. I'm going with that one up there. Obviously I'll push it in more, and this one here. The main flow will be this way as opposed to that way it was before. And then I take this piece, obviously with that on there, and then when I turn off the valve, the water will flow this way, and if it's on, it should go this way, with only a little bit of trickle going this way, depending on how much force the water's under. So I can imagine the water will be under a lot more force with this size pipe than it would be with the normal outlet. So we probably will be diverting more than I had last time. So let's glue it. I'm going to start with this piece because it's the hardest piece to put in. I'm going to use PVC cleaner to start with. I'm fairly sure the idea of this is to soften up the plastic. Obviously removes contaminants, but fairly sure it also softens it up. Ooh, I forgot to hold it downwards. So the cleaner was running through and I've got it on my hands, which is not ideal. And then I'm just using some PVC glue wiping off a bit of the excess. So, a little bit on the inside, far too much, and then a lot more on the outside. It's just so it helps it create a good seal. Put it together and attempt to push it together, and then hold it so it doesn't push back out, and then hope that you've pushed it far enough in. So that to me looks like a good seal because it's all the way around the outside. And if we look inside, yeah, it looks like we've made it all the way in, which is great. So this will take a little while to dry. So whilst I'm going to do this one as well. Remember, middle T. I don't want to make the same mistake again. Obviously careful not to touch the other joint if you're going to do that. And let's do that last piece. Making sure this nut is definitely on there because I'll have to cut it off again otherwise, and I don't have enough spare parts. At the moment, if I wanted to get a spare ERA part, then I need to buy a whole valve, and they're a lot more expensive. It's like, what, 6 times the cost? Yeah, go on there. Obviously with that nut it's making it a lot trickier to hold. I mean, I could put it there, but it's not ideal. So there we go. Hopefully you can see the difference between that and what we had. So I leave that to dry. And obviously the other thing I need to fix is, if I take this off, so this nut will go over the top, which makes it a lot easier. Yeah. Now, the inside of this I've tried to clean up. Obviously I'm not impressed with it, it's not great, but it is what it is. And again, I don't want to have to cut this off to put another socket on it, because it will work. But if I do that and this one fails, then I then have another problem. So I'd rather make this one a bit dodgy and learn from my mistake, and then over the winter maybe I can buy a few more of these and then do it properly. So what we're going for is that, and that doesn't fit. The inside of that glue is stopping it going in properly. Absolutely not what I want. So maybe I could use a screwdriver to sort of clear it up a bit. So getting to about there, which is about that glue bit in there. Obviously I haven't been testing with it because I've only just cut the end off, so I had no idea how wide it really was and how narrow this socket was in here. Well, that's better. It's not the closest I wanted it, but you know what, it's a lot tighter than I was hoping. I think that's the best I'm going to get. I can dribble some glue in the bottom of that. Not getting it in the middle bit. Don't want it in the middle bit because obviously that's going to impede the flow. Okay, so there's a reasonable amount of glue at the bottom there. Obviously there's also a reasonable amount in the middle, which I definitely don't want. So just fishing that out with the screwdriver. I'm now happy with the amount of glue in the bottom of that. I just need to remember to keep it upright, which is going to be a lot harder to do when I've got this attached to it. So like before, in the other one, I want quite a good amount of glue on it, making sure I've covered everything. because this has got little grooves in it, which I definitely don't want to channel water. And then, once I'm happy, so now I've got a problem. I want to hold it upright so that glue dries, but I also want to hold it that way so the glue inside dries. Guess what I should have done? I should have waited. And I just had a panic that I didn't put the nut on it, but it's fine. It slides over this. We're not increasing the width of this socket in any way, so it's fine. Just place it on that block to dry. So hopefully that all dries perfectly, better than it did last time. Hopefully the water flow isn't restricted enough that it's still a problem. We'll just have to wait and see. Fingers crossed. But my pool needs it. I don't know if you can see all that dirt in the bottom there. I've tried picking it out with a net, most of it doesn't come. So I definitely desperately need to vacuum it. Okay, I think the glue is dry, so let's put it together. And obviously I need to make sure I put the flow the right way around. So this is going to the pool, so which makes sense. So undo that, put that through. Ooh, and then do that back up, and let's reattach that, so I'll have that to the side because I want the handle accessible, because if I ever need to turn it off because maybe this is shooting out or this has just completely detached itself from the socket, then I need to be able to turn it off very quickly, otherwise I will very quickly lose a lot of water. Right, let's give it a go. Right, first things first, I need to stop up this hole. And we've got a bit of hosing that I had from last time. So first thing first, I'm going to close this off. And this white one is going to go into the pool. So I'm going to plug this in here. So in it goes. And hook this one up here. That's what we've got at the moment. Right, I'm just going to turn the pump back on. Hopefully it all goes well. Everything's working as it should do. So let's put the vacuum back together. That's the pool vacuum done. So get the hose out of here. Oh, come on. So one of these has got the valve in it. It's not this end, which is good. So let's hook this up and let's see what kind of water pressure we have when I turn it on. It's better than last time. However, that is just leaking water. You know what? I'm going to cut my losses with this one. I think if my water level's low, I'm just going to use it on the tap. This is ridiculous. But I have a plan for an even better pool vacuum that'll surpass even the potential of this one, because this net was always a limitation. So I'll see you in the next video.